Welcome everyone to Tauke Talks, a session of sharing session with small but mighty business owners, just like Vannitha today, here to share about their motivation, why they started their businesses in the first place, and maybe the story behind their journey of why they wanted to be a small business owner. My name is Denise, the host for today, and this sharing session is brought to you by the RYSE team, which is a program that equips young people to start businesses and teach them to learn the skills and maybe knowledges of how to start a small business yourself. And we are proudly supported by Citi Foundation. And we believe that entrepreneurship is not for only big startups with like tech, but also the small ones and which are very essential in our economy nowadays, just like a word affair. So I'm very happy to welcome Vannitha today, the founder of A Word Affair. How are you today?
Thanks, Denise. I'm good. I'm happy to be here chatting with all of you.
Yes, we are excited to hear your story.
Okay.
Without further ado, maybe Vannitha, can you share a little bit about A Word Affair?
Okay. So Word Affair is a collection of ventures. You can see 3 of them right now on the screen. The main one that I'm working on right now is the online bookshop, which is the bookshop at Word Affair. It's a Facebook bookstore, so you can actually browse on Facebook and buy by just leaving a comment or sending me PM. That's how it works. And then I also have a little pop-up in Taman Desa, and that's the second one, A Word Affair in Taman Desa. It's not a permanent store, it's just a temporary setup, and I hold it in the community hall at my condominium. And it's usually on weekends, but sometimes I open up on weekdays as well. And when it's open, I announce it on that Facebook page, the Word Affair in Taman Desa Facebook page. It's temporary because the hall is shared by all the other residents as well. So if somebody else books the hall, then I actually pack up everything, put all the books in storage, and then set up again after the function. The third project, Itch to Switch, that's the book exchange, and that's actually how the whole of A Word Affair started. I had this idea for a business model based book exchange, and I called it Itch to Switch, and that was 5 years ago. And from there, it actually expanded to a library first, and then eventually a bookshop. So these are the 3 main projects at the moment, but also under A Word Affair, my Scrabble activities, which is coaching and playing at the international level, and also coaching kids and beginners coaching them in how to play in tournaments and strategy and so on. That's also part of the whole A Word Affair. I would call it it's not exactly a business, but I would call it a venture more. It's more of a venture, yeah. And then all of these projects are like little ventures that are part of this bigger venture. And it's all related to words and books and language. So I mean, 3 of my passions.
Right. May I know like when you started maybe Itch to Switch or the online bookstore?
So it all started with Itch to Switch, and that was in 2015. It actually, I just stumbled upon it. Actually, I had no intentions of starting a business, but I was volunteering at that time to raise funds for a literacy project. And we were selling books at Ancop Mall and to raise funds. And there were people who used to come to us and ask us, can we trade books instead of just buying the books? And we said, no, this is a charity project, so you have to buy, you can't trade. But so many people came over to ask us that I was wondering, is there a market here? Is there a little niche here? Yeah, for trade. And so we couldn't actually do it under the charity because it's faster to just sell. So I decided to start a little table of my own with my books. and just test out. And then I also had to come up with a mechanism because at the same time, there were other organizations setting up these free book exchanges where you bring one and you
Oh,
take one. Yeah. So it was already sort of well, not mushrooming, but just starting here and there in the Klang Valley. There was one in PJ, and there was actually also one starting up in Taman Desa as well.
hmm,
Uh, but I wanted to explore it I wanted to see if it could be done as a business. So
right.
then I had to come up with the mechanics, like, what is the percentage to charge? There was an exchange fee of 20%. So you bring a book and you exchange for a book of equal value and you pay 20%. And then there was also like you have to value the book as well. Because, with the free exchange is easy. You just bring one and you take one. But here it involves like, how some books are more valuable than others.
Yeah.
And I also had vintage books and some were new books and some were, of course, my own secondhand books. So then, so that was the challenge back then when I started.
Hmm.
Um, and then after a while, and I started with just my books, so they were predominantly literature books because that was my area of interest. That was the kind of genre I like to read, and because I only had a small table at MCOT Mall, just enough for about 200 to 300 books, so I limited it to basically the kind of books that I liked, which set the tone for the whole bookshop later because of how I started, which turned out to be a good thing because sort of unwittingly, I actually found a little niche without actually
Hmm.
planning to, which I actually planning to. I found a little niche that nobody else was actually filling at that time. Uh, but then after a while, I realized that some of the books, especially the rare books, were not coming back. So people were actually keeping them.
Keeping it for themselves.
And yeah, so the exchange, I mean, they were bringing their books to exchange, but the rare ones were not coming back. So I was just kind of trying to think of how I could keep the rare books for more people to read. And that's when I came up with the library idea.
Hmm.
So, and then I set up a separate Facebook page called The Library at a Word Affair. And so when the library idea came about, I needed like an umbrella name to hold both the library and Itch to Switch, and I came up with a word affair.
Hmm.
And the library in the end didn't take off. Well, I was going to charge like just 10 ringgit a month, sort of a membership fee, and then you could borrow as many books as you liked, one at a time. So you'd read, return, read, return, read, return. It didn't work. There were a few people who took up membership in the beginning, but they didn't have time to actually read the books within that month. So some people will think like 2 months and 3 months. Whereas with the book exchange, you can actually keep it as long as you like and then bring it back once you're done,
Hmm.
and exchange it to something else. So it was a much easier mechanism. Um, so the library didn't work, but before I realized that the library thing was not working, I had actually already amassed, because when you think about a library, you need a lot of books before
Right.
somebody is going to be willing to become a member of this library. So I had actually amassed about 5,000 books. I actually started like, yeah, I had a list of books that I wanted for my library, a lot of them pretty rare books, hard to find, really hard to find ones. I managed to find maybe at least 80% of the books on my list, so I had quite a big collection. And then realized that, okay, this library thing is not working. So then, so then I
Then
started the
it become
bookshop.
a bookshop.
Yeah. So
Wow.
the library at a Word Affair became the bookshop at a Word Affair.
Hmm.
And so that must have been maybe 2 years in. After 2 years, from the time I started Itch to Switch was when I started 2 years, yeah, or maybe 1.5 years, and I
Hmm.
started the bookshop. And it's been like, and the bookshop has been like the main project now since
Right.
then. Yeah. And also, I mean, if you look at the different Facebook pages, the bookshop has the biggest following. Itch to Switch is still going on, so people who do want to exchange books, they can still exchange books. They can bring their books, and I also have I have a total about 8,000 books at the moment. 2,000 of them are books that people have left behind for the exchange.
Oh.
And once I sell their books for them, they can actually come and take any books they like from the bookshop or books from other people that are part of the book exchange and pay that 20%. So that mechanism has still been going on throughout.
For almost like 4 or 5 years.
5 years, yeah. So
Yeah.
so the book exchange has been there for 5 years, yeah. So that's about how it started. So I wasn't planning to, but it was like one thing led to another.
Yeah.
Because of circumstances, I had to adapt. So yes, I had to keep changing. And then the pop-ups in between, I had this opportunity to set up. Well, so there was always the Taman Desa pop-up, the MCOT Mall pop-up on weekends, which continued. And then there was an opportunity to open up like sort of a permanent space at Top Jaya One.
Oh.
Yeah,
They
which is
approached you,
more or less.
Were you the one who like?
No, I happened to join a bazaar, art for grabs at Jaya One, and then I saw it, so I went to inquire and found out about the rates and all that. So I actually did that for about a year, and then took a break, and then went back again for a few months. But so the first year was really good, but the second time I went back, the economy was already slowing down, and retail outlets weren't doing well anymore. So then I actually stopped last December and only had the Taman Desa pop-up. So when the first time when I had to move out of pop, they raised the rent, so I had to move out of pop. So I mean, it wasn't viable anymore. So I moved everything to the Taman Desa pop-up, the Taman Desa hall. So I had to find another place for the books, and it was the Taman Desa hall. And so that has been, so whenever I can or whenever it's suitable, I open up in Taman Desa. It might be like for a few weeks or just one weekend. And when someone else books the hall, and I close up everything and put the books in storage. Like now the books are just sitting there because nobody can book the hall anyway because of the MCO.
Okay.
So everything has just come down to a standstill. It's just online now.
Yeah, at least there's a space for you to keep your books as well.
Yeah, so because of the MCO, I do have a separate storage down in basement 3. So whenever someone else books the hall, I just move everything down to storage.
Do you think there is a better?
I have a question here.
Yeah, I think we can answer that during the Q&A session, if possible. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering, like, was the more like the reception from the customers you have more in your Taman Desa physical store, or more towards like in your Facebook bookstore?
Half and half. Exactly. It was exactly 50% before the MCO began. But also, I think that you can control that, because if you spend more time on one area, then you will see results in that area. And I was spending half my time, because I actually prefer the face-to-face interaction. But you cannot run away from having an online store. Like I couldn't just have 100%, physical space. I do need the online shop as well. And I mean, just because there's more reach, you can just reach the whole of Malaysia
more
online.
Customers that might be interested as well, they can know about.
Yeah, a physical store, you're only limiting yourself to people in KL. It's just that I just enjoy the physical, the face-to-face interaction. Yeah, that traditional, bookshop seller role. I love that. So I continue doing that.
Yeah, I know, like what started.
It's fun running like a book pop-up. Yeah.
Yeah, like you get to meet different people who have the same passion with you.
Yes. So that has been quite a joy as well. So for the past 5 years, and also since I mainly focus on literature, even more than just book lovers, I actually meet literature lovers. So that has been really good as well. Yeah. So selling, books on themes that I enjoy, I actually meet people who have the same interests as me. So, that has been one of the highlights as well.
Were there any struggles like during the past 2 months with MCO, the CMCO? Like, how did you adapt it to it?
Yeah, so I had to now focus completely online. And because I was doing half and half before, my online wasn't exactly, it wasn't the best because, I was spending half my time on the pop-up as well. So what I had to do over the last 2 months is reorganize everything on the Facebook page, sort of clean up a little bit, make it
Digital spring
easier to
cleaning.
find, make books easier to find. Yeah, cataloging them, and so I used to just put them up in albums according to months. So that would be like April 2019, May 2019. So every time I had a new batch of books, I would upload them into the album of the month.
Yeah.
So I actually reorganized them in under genres. Over the last 2 months, I've been, and deleting stuff that I've been stolen. I haven't completely done that, but I've just tried to make it more online friendly.
Right.
Yeah, so I definitely it has been slower. I mean, because of course some people just prefer browsing, physical browsing. So they don't shop online at all. They don't have Facebook. Some of my customers,
Wow.
they just prefer coming over to a bazaar and browsing, or coming over to the pop up and browsing. Yeah. So of course, so those customers would never actually, move online. But there have been a lot of new customers, a lot of new,
During
names
this
that I
time?
see during the last 2 months. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because my focus had shifted online, so I was doing more online, and so I was reaching out to more people on, on Facebook, and so that has grown. So my conclusion is that wherever you spend your time, that is what is going to grow.
Right.
Yeah. So you just need to decide, like, where you want to spend your time, or strategically, where is the best area to spend your time based on, your circumstances, the surrounding circumstances.
Do you think,
Previously,
do you think that young people should start their businesses? Like, I understand that you've started with a lot of trial and errors and you adapted along the way. And sometimes people might think starting a business is very hard, so they take a long time to think about it. Like, what are your thoughts about it? And
yeah, so for me, I was just trying to explore this idea that I had. I was working, when I started, I was on a break, but then I started working shortly after that. I was a sub-editor at a newspaper. So I was actually doing both at the same time, working at the newspaper and then doing this on weekends at MCOP Mall. And then slowly, when the bookshop started picking up, I mean, this was already like, when I had already started the bookshop, and so I slowly, so then I decided to give up the full-time job. So I had no plans to actually start a business. It was just, I just took it, as it came, and it started off as a fun thing, like out of curiosity to see whether it would work, the exchange thing.
yeah.
And then just from there, I was just, looking at the challenges and trying to meet those challenges. So, from the book exchange, and it wasn't really even a challenge. It was just that I realized, oh, people are not bringing, the good books back. So what do I do now? Because I wanted, those, I mean, not the good books, sorry, the rare books. So I wanted the rare books to be read by more people. So that led to the library, which, wasn't really, after giving it, a few months, it wasn't going anywhere. So, so then I was just, so I think the important thing here is that I was still working full time elsewhere. I had the job at the newspaper. So it allowed me to experiment. That gave me that freedom. I didn't really need the income from the bookshop yet. So it allowed me, enough room for the trial and error.
Right. Was it
And I
difficult,
think that,
like from a sub-editor, more of like obviously your passion as well with words and languages, and then
yeah,
suddenly turning it into a business-oriented kind of venture? Was it difficult from that transition?
well, it's definitely more difficult running your own business, definitely tougher. But on the plus side, there's the freedom, the time flexibility. You don't have to report to a boss, but I have many bosses now who are my customers. Uh, uh, but so there are the pluses on the in, but of course on the other side, it's also it's tougher, and of course there is the risk, and everything's on you. On the plus side, though, you control everything. Like now, especially with the MTO, I mean, if you put in the work, then you're going to earn.
So what you read in a
You
sense.
don't have to sit and worry about, oh, am I going to lose my job? It's all on you. It's all a matter of how hard you're going to work. So so you do feel like in control of your finances. But it's much tougher though, much tougher than than having a
Working in,
full-time job. I mean,
yeah.
I was a sub editor, so all I had to do was just kind of go in, do my editing and go home. And once I leave the office, that was it. I didn't have to worry about the job. Once the day's paper, the paper for the next day was done, that was it. So that was really easy. But the freedom, so the decision I made to leave and focus on this full time was just the freedom and Scrabble. So I have more time for Scrabble. And it's more flexibility now. Like when I want to go off for tournaments, some international tournaments take 5 days. So there's no issue of leave. So I because of Scrabble, I think this is like the perfect thing for me. But
That's
also
great.
because of Scrabble, the shape of the bookshop is different from what somebody else would do because everything is organized around my Scrabble activities as well. Like half my day is spent on like trading. So then the rest of the time is spent on the bookshop. Whereas maybe if somebody else was doing of running a bookshop, they would run it completely differently from, but time is more important than like what I earn. So, time for Scrabble is more important to me. So, and that has shaped how I run the bookshop. And also, this, the temporary pop-up rather than a permanent store is also shaped by my interest in Scrabble. Because, I need to be able to like close and go off and play in tournaments if I want to. So I guess that's another thing to look at. It's like why are you starting a business? It's not just the money, not for everyone. There are many reasons. Some mothers may want to be at home with their kids. So I think that will also shape how your business looks like, how your venture turns out. So it's not necessarily successful just because you make a lot of money. It can be successful for many reasons. Like it's successful if it gives you enough time, successful if it gives you the freedom that you're looking for. So I think it's important to decide like what it is that you want in the beginning and then shape it to give you exactly that thing that you want.
Interesting. Thank you for your insight. Actually, we have a lot of questions from the audience. I hope we can cover
Okay.
it. We might exit a little bit, maybe about 10 more minutes.
Sure, no problem. No problem. Okay.
Yeah. So the first question was, how did you know when one mode was not working out, and what would your advice be for finding the right system or model in a sense for someone who wants to start a business?
Yeah. So I think I kind of answered it already. Trial and error. You have to assess. You have to get as much information as you can, but don't spend too long on collecting this information, right? So yeah, at any one time you will have all the factors So you consider all the factors and decide. You may be right, you may be wrong, you will never know. But of course, if it's not working, you will know it's not working because the money will not be coming in, or whatever.
It's a
Or let's say
tell.
if it's time, you won't have the time that you're looking for, or whatever it is. If you're not getting what you want, from the venture, then it's not working. So then you have to change. Like the first time, it wasn't really the first time I changed was simply because that I felt like the rare books were not coming back. It wasn't that I wasn't making money, or it wasn't viable. It was just that something that I wanted was not happening.
Mm,
So I tweaked it. I still kept the exchange, but I tried something else while the exchange was still going on.
mm,
I experimented with something else, and also I managed to be able to do that because I had the journalist job, the sub editing job at that time. Uh, so that allowed me room to experiment.
mm,
Yeah, finding the right system, just trial and error. Really, that's the best. It's the
mm,
best trial and error. If you don't have room to try, then um, try to ask someone who has already done it.
mm.
Get
Did you have
get
like contacts that you can reach out to, like before?
um did I have not at that time, but
Mm,
after that I found a community of booksellers, and then we would
mm,
exchange ideas, but not before I got into it. I only came
mm,
into contact with this community after being in the thick of it.
mm.
Then I got to know this, and then you exchange ideas, and
I see. Okay.
shop talk. So, but if you're starting, you can always look for a mentor.
Mm,
Yeah,
mental is important.
yeah, someone who has already done it before, and you can ask them, someone from your area of interest.
Okay. I think the second question would be I remember you speaking about your passion for rare books and sharing that to people. Like, could we know
Mhm.
why you choose
Mhm.
to, like, your niche is kind of, if you everyone look at a bookstore, you see mostly like rare books, vintage books. May we know like why you
Mm.
focus on that instead of like maybe new books of the current trend that you can find?
Okay, so actually the focus is not on vintage books. My focus is actually on literature books,
Ah,
classic literature and modern literature from around the world. That's the focus. But um, some of these literature books are vintage books, and I have always loved the vintage books. I have my private collection as well of vintage books. And so apart from literature, I also sell books that I love, like other books, some nonfiction that I'm interested in, like travel and so on. And so vintage comes under one of those categories of books that I'm
mm,
interested in. So, and that's why, but it's not the main, my core, my niche is actually literature.
right. I
Yeah.
see.
And so the way I choose the books, there is a certain ping that goes, like when I'm book hunting. If I feel that little ping, that little excitement, that little spark, you could call it the Marie Kondo spark. If I
But
feel
for
that,
books.
yeah, if I feel that, then I will choose that book to sell.
Mm, that's interesting. I think the last question from our Q&A will be, bookstores nowadays are seeing a decline because a lot of people rely on online book apps like Kindle and such. How do you plan to, in a sense, compete, or are you not worried at all because there's still a market for like physical books?
Well, no, I think there was a little decline when the Kindles came in
Mm,
initially, but
mm,
actually the trend changed.
yep.
So, and this was a few years ago, where
Ah, I
it,
see.
it, it went back. Yeah. So actually book sales are on the up, and a lot of independent stores, even overseas, they're actually doing, I mean, this was before the MCO, of course. They
Mm,
were actually doing well. So although, yeah, people did go over to Kindle for a little while, but they came back.
yeah.
Came back. So the challenge is not really Kindle. I think the challenge is more like a retail thing. If you have a physical bookstore, all of retail has gone down. So, or um, and so I think it's a different challenge. It's not really Kindle or ebooks. That's I mean, they may have taken away some of the business, but they're not really. I don't think they're really a threat. Book collectors, will still buy physical books.
Sure.
And lots of readers will also still prefer reading. So it's never going to go away.
Okay. Thank you so much for your insight. I think that's all for the Q&A session, everyone. Yeah, thank you very much, Vannitha, to be part of our Tauke Talk
You're
session.
welcome. It's been a pleasure. I hope everyone got something out of it.
Yes, I think it's very motivating and inspiring to hear like how you trial and error when you just started, but it started with like you see a need for a group of people who need a book exchange, and how you grow slowly into like a kind of like a venture for your bookshop, and how you keep your passion still even though you had to stop your full-time job, you still can follow your passion with this venture. It's very inspiring to hear that.
Well, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I hope those listening can find their own, interests to follow in their own little niche. And I think it's really important to do what is fun for you. Do what you like, and even if it doesn't make a lot of money, I think that's kind of that's the key.
Yeah. I hope everyone feel inspired. I think this is about the end of our Tauke Talk session. So if your goal is to start a business, or you want to learn how, like a step-to-step guide on how to build a business, you can tune into our RYSE Facebook page. We have an online course launching really soon, which is called RYSE Online. And hopefully, even if you're not interested, you can just join and have the chance to learn extra skills during your free time, or and then you can maybe meet other people who are also interested in business building. And also, we also have a next not Pocket Talk session, which is with Francis from Little Collins, which is a small cookery. If you're interested, please sign up. You can also find the link in our Facebook page. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. Thank you very much, Vannitha. All the best for A Word Affair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Thank
You
you.
guys.
Bye bye.